It was a chilly autumn night in rural Pennsylvania. Jake, a truck driver, was on his usual route, hauling cargo down a lonely highway. The road was desolate, flanked by dense forests that seemed to stretch into eternity. The only sound was the rhythmic hum of his engine and the occasional rustling of leaves as the wind swept through the trees. As he approached a bend in the road, his headlights caught the figure of a woman standing at the edge of the highway. She was dressed in a long white dress, her hair cascading over her shoulders. She raised her hand, signaling for a ride. Jake hesitated for a moment, but then pulled over.
Thank you.
She opened the door and climbed in, her expression somber. "Thank you," she said softly. Her voice was almost a whisper, and her skin looked pale under the dim truck lights.
I need to get home.
Where do you live?
Jake nodded. "Where do you live?" She gave him an address a few miles down the road. As they drove, she remained mostly silent, only answering his occasional questions with short responses. There was something eerie about her presence, but Jake shook off the feeling, blaming his exhaustion. When they reached the address, Jake turned to tell her they had arrived, but the seat beside him was empty. His heart pounded as he looked around. There was no sign of the woman. He stepped out and approached the house cautiously. An elderly woman answered the door, her tired eyes studying him curiously. "I'm sorry to bother you," Jake began. "I just gave a young woman a ride here, but she disappeared."
What did she look like?
The old woman's face paled. "What did she look like?" she asked in a trembling voice. Jake described her, the long white dress, the dark flowing hair, the soft voice.
That was my daughter. She died in a car accident on this road 10 years ago.
The old woman gasped and clutched the doorframe for support. "That was my daughter," she whispered. "She died in a car accident on this road 10 years ago." A cold shiver ran down Jake's spine. He turned back toward his truck, but the passenger seat was still empty. Only a faint scent of lavender lingered in the air.